It is that time again here on a Monday. Time for you to ask me anything. Questions coming this week from our followers over on MeWe. You know the drill. Todd curates the questions, determines which ones he thinks should be answered. I have not seen any of them in advance. And then, Aaron, you go ahead and you do your best to blindside me, brother. So you're up.
All right, we will start with a 5-star question. This is from MMLPSS, who says, my husband and I are avid moviegoers. Is it just a coincidence that they are pushing transhumanism, high-tech, and new jabs? They're also burying us in fantasy, Marvel, and sci-fi. The previews at the last movie we saw were exclusively and literally unreal. With very few exceptions, there doesn't seem to be much reality to watch. Is this an effort to normalize what's coming?
Fascinating question. I don't know. It may be. I mean, you know, growing up in the 70s, The Bionic Woman, The $6 Million Man, Space 1999. You had Star Trek in circulation, via reruns. Star Wars. I mean, there was a huge science fiction element that dominated a lot in the 70s, but you also had some of the greatest films from a realism standpoint when you get into things like The Godfather and other films from that era too, Apocalypse Now. I can tell you, as someone that's on the producer side of this with a movie about to come out, right now, post-COVID, the only two types of films that are still playing well at the box office are horror films and event films, and a lot of the event films these days are made by Marvel. Dramas, Stephen King came out with, Steven Spielberg came out with West Side Story, not this Christmas, but last Christmas. That's one of the most popular, famous musicals in America's cinematic history. It's got attached to it the most successful director in American cinematic history. That would kind of seem to be, guaranteed money, right? It wasn't. It did not perform well at the box office at all. The final 2 years before COVID, there were more horror movies released than any other genre, 75. I probably sound like a guy that's been doing marketing research for an upcoming horror film. That's why I know all this data, all right? It looks like that you're going to see even higher percentage of movies in theaters be horror films in the next year or two, because post-COVID, I think a lot of people have decided I can watch the Downton Abbey movie at home, pay $20, pause it if I have to go to the bathroom. I don't have to pay, another $20 for a bucket of corn. You know what I'm saying? And given the fact I can go to Walmart right now and buy a nice brand name like a Vizio or a Samsung. I mean, these are good, solid brand name technology producers. I can go to Walmart right now and for $500, maybe $600, walk out of there with a 65, 70-inch Vizio or Samsung TV. How much different is the Downton Abbey movie or Knives Out? How much different is that movie in my basement or in my room, in a dark room, and on a 65-inch TV? And you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Compared to the cost of going to a movie and everything else. And so, I do think some of that is reflected in whether it's a big event film like a Top Gun or a Marvel movie or a horror film. We are seeing a lot, and I would put the kids' movies, like the Pixar films in the event film category. We are seeing a lot of other genres are not doing well at the box office post-COVID. People just got used to streaming them and watching them at home and realized the cinematic experience for those kinds of movies is not much different than watching it in their house. So that may have something to do with the trailers that you're saying. I also would not dismiss, though, what you're talking about either. I wouldn't dismiss that either. I might even add another worldview angle, and that is, in some respects, like Superman, for example, when he was created. Superman was created by two young Jewish guys named Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster, right? Did I have that right? I know Jerry Siegel's right. I have the other name wrong. They meant for it to be sort of a secular, Christical Messiah character with a Mosaic origin story, sent up like Moses was sent up a river, to avoid the persecution of a doomed civilization. You see all the parallels, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we are seeing now, as we become increasingly post-Christian as a society, is you're almost seeing that genre delve into this is the new pagan pantheon. Like the MCU is the new Olympus. You see, you know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
That now they're not borrowing from tales of old or the transcendent traditions within the West, but they are returning to pre-Western civilization transcendent traditions. Like Zeus was a major figure in the last Thor movie, for example, and they introduced Hercules as well. So I wouldn't dismiss what you're saying, but I would also tell you that films that are out of the fantasy realm or the horror realm are not doing well at the box office post-COVID. Next question.